Interest rates are down, sales are surging, buyers are returning to the Canadian real estate market. Do you need to buy now? Hey there, welcome back to Prairie Real Estate. My name is Matthew Fife, real estate agent in Regina. That's my trusted assistant, Matilda. This is the November monthly market update here on Prairie Real Estate. And yes, we are finally seeing the impact of lower interest rates on the Canadian housing market. 10 out of 11 cities I covered here saw month over month sales increases. And for many of those cities, that's not typical this time of year. So let's figure out exactly what's going on. But of course, we're going to start off with another one of my terrible bad dad jokes. What days of the week are the strongest? Saturday and Sunday, because the rest are weekdays. If you have a terrible joke I can use in a future episode, put it in the comments below. Let's get you updated on the Canadian housing market. Normally, I'm not going to make a big deal about home sales being up 1%, but when it's the first time it's happened all year long, it's an important thing to note. Now, I do expect somebody talking about the Victoria real estate market is going to say how sales were up 20% year over year. See, the market is going bananas. Well, yeah, but also October 2023 was one of the slowest Octobers on record, and that's why I like using that 5-year rolling average. It kind of smooths off some of those one-year anomalies. The good news for those that are buying homes in Victoria is that new listings and active inventory have been above the long-term averages, meaning that home buyers have more choice and they're not competing on every single new listing that comes up for sale. It's single-family homes where they're starting to see more market activity in Victoria, more sales are happening. Prices are down just year over year, but we saw a month over month increase for that. Normally, this is the time of year in the Victoria real estate market where home prices are flat to slightly trending down. And we've seen that, the seasonal impact of that, but also prices have been essentially flat for the last 2 years, almost unchanged since 2022. I sure didn't have a massive month over month jump in sales on my bingo card for the Vancouver real estate market. How about you? A lot of agents have been telling me for about the last month now that activity has really started to pick up, and now we're seeing it in the numbers. Of course, I can already see somebody typing in the comments, yes, but you always see a big jump in sales from September, October. Yeah, usually see about a 10% jump in sales. This month, 35%. So that's obviously something to note. The question becomes, does this continue on? Do we see a busier fall market, or was this just a 1 month blip? 2 months ago, we saw a very sizable jump in new listings. And this past month, we saw that drop back down. That is typical for this time of year, but we still have way more new listings than we usually do. Real quick pause here. If you're thinking about buying a house in Regina, obviously I'd love to help you out. But if you're somewhere else in Canada, don't worry, I can get you set up with a perfect real estate agent that'll handpick for you. If you check out the description of this video, you're going to see a link to my calendar where you can book me in for an agent recommendation consultation. I'll give you a call, learn about what's important to you in a house, in a real estate agent, and I'll get you set up with that perfect agent in your market. And now let's get back to the video. 2 months ago in Vancouver, months of inventory was over 8, well into a buyer's territory. This past month, big month of sales pushed that back down into 5 months of inventory, meaning we're actually back into a balanced market in Vancouver. Typically, we see active inventory relatively flat through September and October, and then a big fall off in November, December. I expect we're going to see that this year, but we still have those elevated levels of inventory, so buyers are still going to have more choice than they typically had. The hottest segment in the Vancouver real estate market right now, though, is townhouses. They saw both year over year and month over month sales increases and price increases. There's been lots of talk of how fast the Calgary real estate market is slowing down, and maybe not so. We got to hold that thought because we saw a month over month jump in sales, and that typically doesn't happen this time of year. Agents have been telling me though that it's kind of a tale of two different stories in Calgary. Over $600,000 sales have picked up. Inventory though is up a little bit, and over 50% of all the listings in Calgary right now are priced over $600,000. They have a little over 3 months of inventory there. It's under $600,000 where things get really interesting. Sales are slower there, not because of lack of demand, but because lack of inventory. There just really isn't much there right now for active inventory. Well under 2 months of inventory. Pretty much everything is selling in multiple offers right now. If they had more inventory, they would probably have more sales. This is by far the most competitive price points in Calgary right now. All that being said, this is by far the most balanced the Calgary real estate market has been in 2 or 3 years. So if you are buying in Calgary, you at least have a little bit more to look at and a little less competition from other buyers. When I first sat down to write this Edmonton market update, I thought I had made a mistake. 2,500 homes sold in a month, up over 50%. That is absolutely bonkers numbers. And I think it really shows the difference you can get across Canada. Toronto sales down well over 30%. Edmonton up 50%. Not all markets are created equal. And there's still 2 months left in the year, but with over 25,000 homes sold so far this year, that smashes the yearly sales record, beating out even 2022 when they had over 24,000 homes sold in the year. If it wasn't for new listings keeping up, I expect home prices would have gone absolutely ballistic this year, through the roof in Edmonton. But when I'm talking with real estate agents, they have been telling me they're getting an awful lot of phone calls, a lot of people looking to buy, whether they're coming in from other centers or just people in Edmonton. So I think next year you're going to be in for another very busy year at Edmonton. We'll have to see. With home prices up 7% year over year, it looks like that's kind of where they're going to finish the year. I think Saskatoon is going to beat Edmonton for the highest year over year price increases in 2024, but it's going to come down to the wire. This past month was the busiest October I have ever seen, at least stats wise. It's the busiest I could find on record, and by a mile. The next busiest October was last year, where we had 321 homes sold in the month. And the news gets worse for those looking to buy a house in Regina right now, because with the new listing inventory continuing to trend down, not getting better, we're seeing fewer and fewer homes for sale right now, and that has meant active inventory has continued to be basically half of what it should be this time of year. Now, I'm really hoping at some point we start to see more new listings come to the market, because if not, this spring is going to be an extremely challenging one for buyers, with a lot of competition as more buyers come to the market in those spring months. Even still, the competition is fierce right now. About 80 to 85% of all the buyers I've helped this year have had to compete against somebody else. The number of times they've had more than 440 homes sell in Saskatoon in October, 0. Never happened before. Crazy busy month this past month in Saskatoon. And normally, this is the time of year that you as a buyer might be able to get a deal, because sellers that couldn't sell in the summer getting a little bit panicky, trying to get it sold before the winter comes. Yeah, that's not happening right now. And it wasn't that long ago, you could find a pretty nice house on the east side of Saskatoon for somewhere in the 300s. Now that number is into the 400s, and a lot of those need some work. When you look at kind of the sweet spot for the Saskatoon real estate market, that $350,000 to $550,000, there's less than 1 month of inventory right now. Everything is basically selling first weekend on the market. What has been interesting to watch though is the condo market. That had been dead for so many years in Saskatoon, and it's heated back up. Agents are telling me they're seeing a lot of multiple offers on some pretty basic condos, driving prices up there right now. And it wouldn't surprise me, at the way things are going in Saskatoon, that they end the year with home prices citywide up 10% year over year. Now, I'm recording this before the West semifinals taking place, so let's go Riders. And I know you Winnipeg fans will let me know in the comments below the final score of the game if the Riders don't win. But whoa, what the heck is going on in the Winnipeg real estate market? Now, they've been busy for the better part of a couple of years now, but it seems that somebody has just stepped on the gas pedal this past month, because things have gone crazy. We normally don't see sales increasing this time of year. Usually they're slowing down. Now, maybe this is going to be a 1 month thing. We'll have to wait and see. But talking with real estate agents in Winnipeg, it sure doesn't feel like that's going to happen. And with new listings continuing to lag behind the long-term averages, that's leaving fewer and fewer choices for home buyers right now. The sales to new listing ratio is 85%. That is absolutely crazy. The national average right now is 53%. Normally as well, you're gonna see home prices in Winnipeg kind of tailing off this time of year, trending down maybe just a little bit. Now we're seeing home prices at worst equal to maybe slightly trending up a little bit. Year over year home prices being up 7% now means Winnipeg is in the conversation to end 2024 with the largest year over year price increases in Canada, matching where Saskatoon's at right now. For those who are wondering how long it was going to take before we'd see the impact of rate cuts in the Toronto real estate market, well, that time appears to be now. I said it all along, I felt it was going to take at least 1% of rate cuts before buyers would start entering the market, and that appears to be, it took at least that and a little bit more to get them motivated. Now, I can already assume that somebody has done a TikTok video saying how, look, home sales are up 44% in the Toronto real estate market, which they are, and you better buy now or else you're going to get priced out of the market, which you know my answer to that. Now, sales are still about 13% below the 5-year rolling average. But in a year where sales have been down 30% basically every single month, being down 13% is something to take note of. New listings are still above normal, but after last month when we saw a big jump in new listings, and some people were saying, here it is, that wave of distressed sellers that was going to finally come to the market, we saw things kind of settle back down and come back to more kind of normal, although still above normal levels. Active inventory is, I think, the really interesting stat to watch right now in the Toronto real estate market, because it is double that 5-year rolling average with, over 24,000 homes for sale. Of course, a huge percentage of that is those smaller shoebox condos in downtown Toronto. Absolutely, when it comes to single family homes, that's on the much lower end of the spectrum in terms of availability, and even more so homes that are priced well and show up. You guys know the story there. Months of inventory also saw a significant drop down. We were up at 5.1 2 months ago, down to 3.7 this month, driven by that big strong month of sales and lower numbers of new listings, and active inventory not really changing much. Then there's home prices. Those are down 3% year over year, and they're trending down. They're now below where we started 2024. And with 2 more months to go, it's likely going to continue that direction. The Ottawa real estate market looks like it might have turned a corner. Typically, we see the seasonality and sales trending down. So to see a month over month increase of 10% is something you have to take notice of. It's also the first time all year long that home sales have been above the 5-year average. In my mind, this is the beginning of the impact we see from lowering interest rates, getting buyers back into the market. It does also appear that new listings are following seasonal trends, meaning they're trending down. And if we see those continue to trend down, but sales continue to be strong, active inventory will continue to shrink. And speaking of active inventory, yes, it's up 59%, which is crazy, but it was up 85% in May. The numbers seem so crazy because they're skewed so badly from how low things got in that 2020 type time frame. If you go back to 2015, 16, 17, there was generally between 5,000 and 6,000 active listings this time of year, meaning that right now, today's active listings would actually be considered relatively low to more historical normals. When it comes to home prices, looking at the composite benchmark price, that's basically tracked 2023 all the way up and all the way down, remaining within 1% essentially all year long. Interestingly enough, looking at the individual market segments, single family homes are up a little over 1% in the year. Townhouses are up about 2.5%, while condos are down 3.5%. It's not uncommon from September to October to see home sales increase around 10%. This past month, we saw an 18% increase, so a very noticeable jump in activity. And agents have been telling me that they're seeing a lot of home buyers that were sitting on the fence that have started to re-enter the market, driven by some lower interest rates available and some expectation that those rates will continue to drop. They're also seeing an uptick in activity in the luxury market in Montreal, where the number of homes that sold over $2 million doubled from last year. When it comes to single family homes, and a friend of mine calculate out the median price, it's just about $800,000, and that actually surpasses the May 2022 all-time highs that they saw. In fact, right now, under $1 million for single family homes, there's less than 3 months of inventory, meaning that segment of the Montreal real estate market is a strong seller's market. They are also seeing a return to bidding wars in Montreal, but agents are telling me that's generally not resulting in homes selling over asking price. If there was a segment in the Montreal real estate market that is more sluggish right now, it is the condo segment, where they're seeing prices falling and the number of months of inventory continue to trend up. When it comes to home prices overall in Montreal, though, they're up 6% year over year, meaning Montreal is now entering that conversation where they're seeing the largest year over year price increases of any city in Canada. Right now, Saskatoon and Edmonton are leading the pack, but Montreal is quickly closing that gap. Normally by late October, you're seeing the Halifax real estate market slow down, but that's not what we're seeing this year. There's a lot of activity inside the Halifax. It is weaker outside in the periphery areas of Halifax, but a month-over-month increase of 10% in sales is unexpected this time of year. They're also seeing an increase in new construction activity, and overall, this was one of the busier months versus the 5-year average that they've had all year. Nearly 50% of the homes that sold this past month sold at or over asking price. Now that sounds pretty crazy busy, but a couple of years ago, it was nearly 80%. Agents in Halifax are telling me 2 things. One, that they're seeing an overall uptick in activity. The phones are ringing, more people open houses, more showings being requested, etc. So clearly lower interest rates are getting people up off the fence and into the market. But as well, it's kind of a 2-segment market. Over $600,000, it's still fairly sluggish. Under $600,000, especially in that starter home segment, is much more active. They're seeing a lot more buyer competition there, some multiple offer type stuff again, why 50% or more selling over asking price. And you can see that reflected in the prices. We've got that overall average price trending up right now in Halifax, and it looks like the market's going to continue to be busy for the balance of the year. That's what's going on in the Canadian real estate market right now, and this video right here is my most recent weekly news recap where I give you my thoughts and opinions on the most interesting Canadian real estate related news topics. If you love this video, please give this video a like and subscribe to Prairie Real Estate if you haven't already. Thanks very much for watching.